What is up, ladies and gentlemen of YouTube? I am Guy Wozniak. You are watching the Comic Book Guy channel, and today I thought I would do a little review of some of the comics that I've picked up over the course of the last few months and share them with you guys. So let's dive right into it. Now, number one isn't necessarily a comic book. I mean, technically it is, but it's a collected edition. It is the Crow Special Edition hardcover. And I made a promise to myself when I got back into collecting comics last year that if I was going to collect any collected editions, I would not get trade paperbacks. Not because I have a problem with trade paperbacks, but because it's so easy to get carried away and wind up with way too many. I said I would only get a collected edition if it was available in hardcover. I tracked this hardcover down, which is currently in print. It was under $30. I've never read it. And I said, you know what? I'm going to get The Crow. It looks like it will be fun. I loved the old movie from the mid-1990s, and I never read the original comics. So what we have here is a collection of those original Caliber comics, Caliber Comics being the publisher of The Crow. It has Caliber Comics Presents, the first appearance of The Crow, and then I believe the first 4-issue miniseries of The Crow, all collected here, plus a bunch of extra stuff. This is kind of considered the definitive edition of The Crow. Of course, this is by the great James O. Barr. He did the art and the story. Somebody else, I think Matt told me, also did work on the artwork in this book, uncredited. I can't remember who he said it was, so leave it in the comments below. Who was it that helped James O. Barr on the artwork of these original Crow comics? It was a really interesting name, and it just completely escapes my memory. But I digress. You should definitely read this if you haven't. If you've seen the movie, definitely read the comic. If you haven't seen the movie, the original Crow movie with Brandon Lee, rest in peace. If you haven't seen the movie, watch the movie first, then read this. And that's kind of out of order of what most people might recommend. Usually people say, read the book first. I think that there's a few things in the book that are confusing, and watching the movie will make it much clearer when you read this. So that's my recommendation. But I am super happy that I finally got a chance to get around and read this. The artwork is beautiful. It's all black and white. There's no color. It is just thick, dark, inky blacks, lots of shadow, very dramatic, and a super fun read. It is kind of on the adult side, so, if you're under 18 or whatever, maybe not for you, but it's not real bad. It's just kind of violent. There's a few scenes that are very, very violent, so yeah, be forewarned. But awesome book. I'm super glad I finally got a chance to pick it up and put it in my collection. Next up, Saga of Swamp Thing from 1984, June of 1984, just referencing my notes here. I picked this book up, and it was pretty much the last one, or one of the very last ones that I needed for my entire Saga of Swamp Thing run, the Alan Moore Saga of Swamp Thing run that I have been collecting for the last 6 months or so. This is $40 again, is what I picked this up for on eBay a while ago, and it pretty much cleaned off my full run of issue number 20 through issue number, I believe it was 64, is the Alan Moore run of the Saga of Swamp Thing. And it's thought to be the first cameo appearance of John Constantine, or is it Constantine? I don't know. I've had people argue with me about that in the comments as well. I say John Constantine. If you don't like it, sorry, that's the way I say it. If it's wrong, it's wrong. I don't really care. But this is thought to be the first cameo appearance of John Constantine. So that puts it in that kind of semi-key range. Now, the first actual appearance is Saga of Swamp Thing number 37, which I have already had, and that's hundreds of dollars at a minimum for a decent condition copy. But so yeah, $40 for this one. Not a super cheap book, but one that I'm really happy to have finally gotten because, like I said, it pretty much sealed off my Saga of Swamp Thing run. I might have needed 1 or 2 more issues. I don't remember exactly. But yeah, this was like the last big one that I needed. Speaking of Swamp Thing, this is something that's cool I wanted to share with you guys. If you have not seen it yet, this is a brand new Swamp Thing comic book that just came out this month. And what it is like an unprinted or unpublished, or maybe it was an unfinished series of 4 or 5 issues, and this is the first one, from the original Swamp Thing run from the 1980s, I guess technically volume 2 of the Swamp Thing run. Yeah, it never got published or printed, and maybe it wasn't finished, I'm not exactly sure. So they finally got around to printing and publishing this. Now the cool thing about this, aside from it being an old school Swamp Thing story, is that they printed it on newspaper, like newsprint paper. So it feels like an old school comic book. It's really cool. And yeah, this is the first of the run. It's numbered 88. So if I'm not mistaken, and I only collect the saga of Swamp Thing, and they just changed it to Swamp Thing eventually, up to the end of Alan Moore's run, which was 67. So I'm guessing it only ran through like issue 87, and then this is 88 is what they're calling it. I mean, 30, 40 years later. Anyway, really cool. So if you're a Swamp Thing fan, go ahead and snag these. And yeah, get that like unpublished story. I think it's going to be really cool. I was impressed with the first one, and I'm looking forward to the next 4 or 5 issues for sure. Next up, we have Omega Men number 3. And as you can see, a McFarlane Lobo statue. Not technically a statue, I guess, action figure. $35 at Target. Just snagged this the other day, the figure. I have a not super extensive action figure and statue collection, but a decent one. And yeah, I've been wanting a Lobo for a while. And I've been wanting the first appearance of Logo, and that's what Omega Men number 3 is. Came out in June of 1983. On my notes here, author Roger Slipher and, of course, Keith Giffen. I picked this book up for $60, and it was actually a couple of months ago. It was before they announced that, I think it was before, or at least before the kind of hype, the trailer of seeing Lobo in the new Supergirl movie. So $60 was a good price back then for a very decent, very fine to near mint condition copy, I think. Now I'm looking on eBay and people are asking closer to $100 for them. Would I pay $100? I mean, I love Lobo, so I probably would, but I'm glad I got it for $60 when I got it. That said, it is the first appearance of Lobo. Lobo is a super cool character, but this version of Lobo that they have in Omega Men number 3 is not the same as this version of Lobo that you might be familiar with from the Simon Beasley miniseries of Lobo from 1990 or 91. I forget what year that came out. This is the Simon Beasley version of Lobo. This Lobo, not sure who that guy is, but it's still a first appearance. It's still a key issue. I did try to read it, and I'm going to be honest. It's not a great story. It's not a good book. I did not enjoy it. I didn't even finish it because it's just pretty bad. But collecting it for the sake of collecting it for the love of the character, I'm going to keep it in my collection. I'm not going to get rid of it because I do love me some Lobo. I think that the movie is probably going to do a disservice to the character. I don't see Jason Momoa as being a very excellent choice. I don't think he's the worst choice, but I don't think he's an excellent choice. And it has more to do with like personality and, just not the makeup and not the way that he looks, but just the way that he speaks and carries himself and talks. Just doesn't feel like that Simon Beasley Lobo that I grew up loving. Nevertheless, I am happy to have a copy of the first appearance in my collection, and I'm super happy to have this action figure in my figure collection because it looks awesome up on the shelf. Next up, we have a little independent series that I loved, and I loved collecting when I was about 16 or so years old. 1995, this came out. This is Poison Elves. This is the Serious Comics version of it. Came out again in 1995. I picked up this number 1 issue for just $12, but more importantly, and I didn't want to drag them all out, I picked up the first 35 issues, and it only ran for 79 issues, if I'm not mistaken. Drew Hayes is the author and the artist on this book, and in 2007, he passed away, unfortunately. That was the end of it. They did publish in the 2010s a version of it. I don't know who did it. I never got into it because Drew Hayes' Poison Elves was the Poison Elves for me. Now, this is like Volume 2. Volume 1 was published by a little independent company called Molehide Graphics, and the title wasn't called Poison Elves at that time. It was called I, Lucifer. The main character of the book is Lucifer. And yeah, back in those days, the book was called I, Lucifer. It's about this like medieval fantasy setting of these elf characters, Lucifer being the main one. He's kind of like a thief and an assassin. Maybe he's just an assassin. I don't know if he's as much a thief. This is issue number 2, by the way. I just kind of show a few of them while I'm talking about it. And yeah, it's just about him existing in this world, and there's dwarves and there's fairies and there's all kinds of stuff, but it's very... I don't know, has kind of like a similar vibe that The Crow has. It's a little angsty. It's a little gothic punk. It's cool like that. And that's the type of stuff that I was into back in those days. So I said, you know what, I used to collect these. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to get them again because I have long since sold all my comics that I used to have years and years ago. And yeah, issues 1, $12. They're not super expensive. All the subsequent issues are even much cheaper than that. So yeah, I'm 35 issues in. I have to get to issue 79, so I'm about halfway there almost. And I highly recommend it if you haven't read it. It's a fun read. The artwork, not outstanding artwork. It's good. It's just black and white, as a lot of these indie comics, especially from Sirius, the comic book publisher back then, they were black and white. But that's cool. It really lets you appreciate the line art without like having it muddied up by color. And then it's not to say that color muddies up the artwork, but it kind of conceals flaws, and it like makes it, like painted in a better light almost when a comic is colored. To the benefit of the viewer, of course, but it's fun to see a black and white, just inked comic book page and read a comic like that, and that's what this is, and that's one of the reasons why I enjoy it. So I recommend, checking it out. Poison Elves, the Sirius Comics kind of Volume 2 version, I can highly recommend. Now, of course, you guys knew there was going to be some Amazing Spider-Mans on the list because I collect Amazing Spider-Man. My goal of goals when it comes to comic book is to have every issue of Amazing Spider-Man someday. Of course, that's never going to happen. But, maybe most of them. I feel like getting issues like 100 through the current issue is doable. That first 100 issues was probably not doable for me. Maybe, a few here and there, of course. But yeah, I can't spend big thousands upon thousands of dollars on like the first 10 issues for sure. Nevertheless, what I did get here was Amazing Spider-Man Volume 2, issue number 36. And we all know this black cover, or we should. It is the 9/11, September 11th tribute issue. I mean, yeah, it's a sombering kind of thing to look at every now and then and to think about that day if you're, old enough anyway. Where were you that day? Where was I that day? I was driving to work. Not that everyone wants to hear this story, but hey, why not? It's the 9/11 Spider-Man, and we know what the book's about, so let's talk about that day a little bit. I was driving into work. I was, it was, September 11th, 2001. Howard Stern was still a big name on radio back in those days, and I was listening to it. And yeah, he's like going bananas. Oh my God, a plane flew into the World Trade Center, just carrying on and on. I thought it was a bit because that was Howard Stern's thing, like just doing crazy bits. So I called up some people because I did actually have a cell phone at the time. And I'm like, hey, are you at home still? And they're like, I'm just walking out the door. And I'm like, go back inside and turn on the news real quick. And they're like, holy expletive. Like, I can't believe this is actually real. I got to work, sat at work from about 8:45 till about 10 o'clock. Nobody came in. I worked at a small office. It was a computer software company back when I used to do computer programming. And nobody came in. 10 o'clock rolls around. And I could get on the internet, again, 2001. It's not like today. The internet was different. We had like DSL or something. But I couldn't open up like any news websites. I don't know what the news websites were back then, Fox News or CNN or MSNBC, I don't remember. But like I was trying to get on news websites and couldn't get them open. There was just so much traffic probably bogging them down. And I'm like, all right, no one's coming in. Screw it, I'm leaving. And I left and went to a friend's house and yeah. That was a weird day, and it just got weirder from there, watching that news coverage all day long, just shocked. This is Marvel's tribute to that day, to those people that lost their lives, the first responders, the civilians, and everybody else. And of course, I've had it in my collection in the past, but I didn't have it anymore. And I said, I got to get this book. It's, a meaningful book to me, what it represents. So yeah, Amazing Spider-Man Volume 2, number 36. I paid $50 for it, which, in the condition that it's in, which is probably very fine to the near mint range, I'm not too disappointed with. A couple of other Amazing Spider-Mans. Venom, probably my favorite Spider-Man villain. So of course, the Todd McFarlane first Venom cover, not first Venom appearance, but the first cover with Venom, issue 316. Author David Michelinie. Yeah, what did I pay for this one? I got it written down here. It was not cheap. $180 I paid for this book. Did I pay too much? Maybe. I don't know. This is It's a nice looking copy. I'm very pleased with the condition. It's at least near mint. If I submitted it for grading, which I would never do, but if I did, it might get a 9.6 instead of a 9.4. It's very, very clean. That said, I don't go for like the highest grade, cleanest copies of comics. I'm super happy with like an 8 or a very fine in my collection. Like if this would have been an 8 for $100, I'd have been cool with that. But I saw it, somebody was selling it. It looked nice. I knew who the seller was, so I bought it. I didn't overpay for it. I just bought a higher grade than I personally need for my collection. So like I overpaid from that perspective, but whatever. It is what it is. And then another one of my favorite covers, another Venom cover. This is 346, Eric Larson's beautiful Venom cover. And in my opinion, this is my favorite Venom cover. This was cheap, by the way. I paid, $18. Just have to check my notes on that. But yeah, $18 for this cover, worth every single penny. This is a beautiful, beautiful cover, in my opinion. This was about when I started collecting comics, and I remember seeing this up on the wall, on the rack, comic book store, new issue rack or shelf or whatever, right? Like this is about when I was collecting comics, a little earlier than this. And when you see this in 1991, I would have been 12, a 12-year-old kid, and you're just like, wow, that is just wow, right? Eric Larson nailed it with this cover. Again, one of my favorite Spider-Man covers, and I like it better than Todd McFarlane's issue 316 cover, if I'm being honest. This is when like Venom got really gnarly with the teeth and the tongue and all of that, and yeah, I just really, really like this one. $18, can't beat it. So yeah, those are my new Amazing Spider-Mans that I've gotten recently. I think they're 3 great issues to have in the collection, and I really love them. I'm going to switch gears for 1 second and show something that's not exactly comic book related, but something that I grew up loving, and that is Dungeons & Dragons. And my first introduction to Dungeons & Dragons was actually not AD&D 2nd edition. And by the way, I've got the Player's Handbook as well. Original copies of both of these books, plus the Monsters Manual, which I'll show you in a second, sitting behind me. But my first exposure to Dungeons & Dragons was the old Beck-Me, Basic, Expert, Champion, Master, whatever. These little box sets. And the red box set, that's what everyone thinks of, the Dungeons & Dragons red box. Yeah, that was my first exposure to it. But the bulk of my playing experience when I was younger, we immediately jumped into AD&D 2nd edition after doing the basic stuff for a very brief time. So I played a ton of this game, and I had great times, and I loved it. Made lots of friends. It was just really cool. So I had to get original copies of these books. I have a small role-playing game book collection, but these are always like my favorites. The artwork, Jeff Easley covers on both of these, and then Larry Elmore, he did the cover of that basic red box, which I have a print of that original picture and a t-shirt, as a matter of fact. I love that artwork. But I have a print signed by him, by Larry. I bought off of his website. If you guys are fans of Larry Elmore's work or Dungeons & Dragons and role-playing game artwork, go to Larry Elmore's website and buy some art from him. He'll sign it, ships it in a very robust tube container. I'm not shilling for him or anything. I'm not getting paid to mention it. I just love Larry Elmore. I love his artwork. And Jeff Easley, I believe, also has a website where you can buy prints that... I don't know if he signs them or not. I haven't bought one yet, but I intend to. But anyway, Player's Handbook, 2nd edition, Advanced Dungeons & Dragons, Dungeon Master's Guide, beautiful, beautiful artwork and books. And, it's a fun game, right? And then, of course, you can't play the game without the Monsters Manual. This isn't the original Monsters Manual. I don't know if any of you guys out there used to play. The original Monsters Manual came in these binders, 3-ring binders with like loose leaf kind of pages for every creature. I like the binded edition much better, so that's why I didn't try to track down those old binder versions. I like everything sewn in and just like solid. I used to tear those monster pages out of those binders all the time. But it's, the original book with all of the original artwork of all the creatures and stuff. Very cool to have. And yes, it's not comic book, but I wanted to share it with you guys anyway, because I'm excited to have gotten these books again. Price-wise, not cheap, I'm telling you. I mean, it's not terrible, but the Player's Handbook was $85. I mean, it's like mint. It's like almost brand new looking, so I don't mind paying that. There was one little ding on the very bottom edge here, like if you put it down on the shelf too hard and you whacked it. Very, very minor. The rest of it, the corners, the spine, everything, it's like new. $85 was a good price for this, in my opinion. I mean, shoot, they were $20 in what year was this? 1989, $20. Adjusted for inflation, that's probably $45. So this book should have been, the equivalent to $45 in today's money if I was just paying cover price. So to just pay a little under double cover price for an old collectible like this, not a problem. The Monsters Manual was also not cheap, but not as bad. I paid $60 for this one, and again, it's like new. It's perfect. The steal of the group, though, was the Dungeon Master's Guide, which is literally perfect. And they usually are if you're looking for old copies of role-playing game books. Nobody ever really opened the Dungeon Master's Guide that much, so they tend to be in better condition. I got that for $25 or $26. Amazing. So yeah, if you're into second edition AD&D or the classic first edition or even BECME basic Dungeons and Dragons, let me know in the comments because I'm a big fan. Next up, we have Conan the Barbarian, Titan Comics, the current run, 2023, and through today. It's going, monthly. It's a monthly issue. This is Jim Zub and the first story arc. I got the first 4 issues, and I'll explain. The first story arc, though, artwork was Rob De La Torre. Sorry if I'm mispronouncing that. Torre. De La Torre. Again, bad with names. Sorry. But yeah, I had been reading Conan the Barbarian now for, 6 months or so. And I could not find issue number 1 or issue number 2 or issue number 3 or issue number 4. A lot of the early issues. Couldn't find them for what I consider decent prices anyway. I mean, sometimes I couldn't find them at all. I could not find a number 1 or a number 4 on eBay or anywhere else. So I was having to read them through trade paperbacks until the more current issues, which I was getting in my monthly shipment from my comic book store that I buy comics from online because I have no local comic store. I finally tracked down issue number 1 and issue number 2, which is that one right there, and issue number 3, which is that lovely copy right there. And then, of course, issue number 4, right? This is the first story arc, 4 issues. Took months and months to find these 4 issues. They weren't cheap. I mean, it's a good story. I was going to say, I don't know why they're so expensive. It's a good story. I understand that, lots of people like it. And from that perspective, I understand why. I don't know if it was low print runs at the time or not. I mean, it's a popular series. Lots of people like it. So if it was a low print run in the earlier issues, I guess that would explain why they're harder to find and, at reasonable prices. But what did I pay for these? Well, number 1, I paid $37 for, which, it's a $5 comic, right? $37, that's a lot. Number 2 was only $19. I say only, still, that's quite a markup. Number 3, I paid $35 for, and then number 4, I paid $27 for. So yeah, I mean, they between the 4 of them, what is that? Close to maybe over $100. I don't have a calculator in front of me, but I'm a big fan of the series, and I'm a big fan of collecting floppies, single comics. Trade paperbacks are great if you just want to read something, and I do read them, but I also collect them, and I can't, quote unquote, collect trade paperbacks. I feel like that's not the same thing as collecting and curating a collection of comic books. So I had to track down issues 1 through 4 and several of the other ones I was missing from the pre-issue 20, basically. Not all of them, but a lot of them I didn't have and couldn't find. So yeah, it was quite a trek to track them all down. But I got the whole run now. Every issue of Conan the Barbarian, Jim Zub's current Titan Comics run from issue number 1 up to the current issue, which is like maybe 27, 28, 29. I'm not caught up on reading them, which is why I don't know off the top of my head. I've read up through level 20 or issue 25 or 26 rather. So yeah, there's a few after that I haven't read. I like to read my comics in chunks, after I got 4, 5, 6 issues. I just sit down and read them all. But yeah, got all of them now, and it's pretty cool. I was 5 years old in 1984, so I never read Secret Wars. But I know this book It's the not Amazing Spider-Man. It's the Spider-Man black costume cover. Is it the first appearance? Is Amazing Spider-Man 252 the first appearance? I don't know. I know that it's debated a little bit. Doesn't matter to me. I wanted them both because I love, more than anything about Spider-Man, I love black costume Spider-Man. So, Secret Wars number 8, I bought it. This is another one of those scenarios where, like, did I overpay for it? Well, I paid $200 for this copy, and it is an immaculate copy. But again, I don't collect immaculate comic books, generally speaking. I'm not searching for the best, highest grades. I don't collect graded, slabbed books at all. I never intend to send books in for grading. But when a book is like sitting there and it's like, I don't have it and I need it, sometimes you just take it. So like $200 for this book, not a bad price. I just shouldn't have bought such an expensive high grade version. I could have got a $100 version that I would have been more than happy with. But be that as it may, I got this because I love Spider-Man. And then that sat in my collection, I don't know, for a month or two. And I was like, I should get the whole run. And it's only 12 issues. I've never read it. It'll be cool to read it. It's Jim Shooter and Mike Zeck artwork with some Bob Layton art and Beatty on inks, if I'm not mistaken. It's a classic series. They're obviously going to adapt it to a movie at some point here in the near future. I should get it. So that's what I did. I went out and started tracking them down. I'm not going to show you all of them, but here's my issue number 1, which I added to my collection. And I know Matt, my co-host, his favorite covers. Issue number 10, that Doctor Doom cover. That is a banger of a cover, absolutely. And then, of course, I have issues 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9, 11, and 12. Right, I have them all. What did I pay for the rest of them? About $160 for every issue aside from this one. So then we're at $360 for the whole run. Kind of pricey. It was kind of a big spend for me. I don't buy many books that are more than $50 very often. That's rare for me. So getting this one and then filling out that whole run, being invested like $350, $360 into it. Yeah, that's a big spend for me. And kind of a disappointment, if I'm being honest, guys. I mean, I didn't enjoy the story. And like, of course, I could have read it digitally, right? I didn't have to spend that kind of money to read the story. But I wanted to collect the comics as well. But I read the story after I got all of them. I was 5 years old in 1984. I didn't read this when it came out. I am not nostalgic for it in any way, shape, or form. I was a 46, 47-year-old man the first time that I read these comics. And I didn't think it was very well written. I thought there was a lot of campy, cheesy, corny stuff in it. And overall, I'm not saying it was the worst thing in the world. I just, I don't see the hype, other than I understand that people are nostalgic for things. Like I'm nostalgic for those D&D books I just showed you. So I understand it from that perspective. But I will say that, yeah, the story itself didn't really impress me. But I got to have this book. I'm never getting rid of that because it's a Spider-Man and I collect Spider-Man. And the rest of them, like, why would I break up the set? I've already got them. So it's just going to be a part of my collection moving forward. And I've got 2 X-Men books to show you. X-Men number 205 and X-Men number 207. I am just starting to break into my X-Men collection. I don't have many copies, but this era of X-Men is one that I do want to work on. Well, I mean, even earlier, everything like Chris Claremont X-Men, so from like issue 94 through to, let's just say roughly issue 300, maybe a little bit past 300. I'd love to fill all of those X-Men in someday. So I saw these ones. They're Wolverine covers that I love. This one is a John Romita Jr. Wolverine cover and a Barry Windsor Smith Wolverine cover. So yeah, I've jumped on these. We're talking like $10 for the Barry Windsor Smith 205, $15 for the John Romita Jr. Why not? Why not start my X-Men collection, Uncanny X-Men collection, with these books? They're beautiful. And yeah, I'm super happy to have picked them up. Haven't read them yet. I probably won't for quite a long time because I don't have a nice sequential run to read them. And again, of course, I could read them digitally if I were so inclined, but I like to have the physical books, read physical copies of books. But yeah, I'm just starting to take a whack at my Uncanny X-Men collection. I've got a few other issues that I have picked up really recently that I haven't really cataloged yet. I'll show those off in a future Comics Haul video. But yeah, overall, for Uncanny X-Men, I have less than 10 copies, I think. So it's going to be a while working on that one. Focusing on Amazing Spider-Man plus this Uncanny X-Men is probably a little rich for me to do both at the same time. But if I come across cool copies, cool covers, cool copies, cool issues that I don't have yet, I'll snag them if they're on the right price, of course. But yeah, that's my kind of introduction to my X-Men books. And finally, the last thing that I want to show you today, Marvel Universe. Let me get my little notes out over here so I get the right thing. 1990 Marvel Universe trading card set. If you were a comics or card collector in 1990, this was like the explosion of the Marvel and the comic books and the X-Men and the X-Force and the this and the that, Jim Lee's set and everything, all these different sets. And they all, kind of started with this one in 1990. I collected the heck out of these when I was a kid. And, for the record, I picked up this whole set of 167 cards, minus the holograms. There's 5 holograms that go with this set that I don't have yet. I got the whole set for $50. So, you know what's crazy? An unopened box of these, of wax, I don't know if they call them wax packs like we did with baseball cards back in the day, but unopened packs, a whole box, they're asking like $500 and $600 for a full box, which doesn't even guarantee you the full set, although you probably get some of the hologram cards, but I digress. For $50, I got the whole set. And these cards are super fun. You got, your superhero cards. Sorry for all the noise. And after the superheroes, there's the villain cards. You got Mr. Sinister, Mole Man, Black Cat. Is Black Cat even a super villain anymore? I don't know. Dormammu. Yeah. Then there's the famous battles. These are all sideways cards. So yeah, you got to kind of take them out and look at them sideways if you really want to see them well. Rookie cards they got in here. They got, these cards are cool. Most valuable comic. So you got like Punisher or Amazing Spider-Man 129, first Punisher, Giant Size X-Men, #1, Journey to Mystery, first Thor, so on and so forth. I mean, it's just a fun set of cards. And then on the backs of the cards, this is really kind of cute. There's all these statistics. For example, let me go to one. We'll go to Wolverine's card. On the back of the card, real name, Logan, group affiliation, X-Men, height, 5'3". This is when I discovered Wolverine's pretty short. Up until that point, even reading the comics, it didn't occur to me that Wolverine was supposed to be that short. Yeah, 5'3". Weight, 195 pounds. I think they consider him to be heavier now than they did back then. This is fun. Battles fought, 629. 407 wins, 91 losses, 131 ties, with a win percentage of 64%. Arch enemies, Sabretooth, the Hellfire Club, Magneto, nickname, Wolvie, first appearance, Incredible Hulk 180. On the card here, this is debatable. This says first appearance, Incredible Hulk number 180. And of course, as we all know, Incredible Hulk 181 is considered the first appearance, and 180 is just first cameo or whatever. Well, Marvel back in 1990 thought Incredible Hulk 180 was his first appearance, as it says on the card. But yeah, there's a bunch of really fun cards. There's one, let me find it real quick, that I wanted to share with you guys. It's goofy. All of the cards have that, battles fought and everything, except we have an Aunt May card. And on the back of Aunt May's card, her real name, May Parker, group affiliation, the Grey Panthers. Who remembers that? Height, 5'5". She's taller than Wolverine. Weight, 110 pounds. Pies baked instead of battles fought. 984 pies baked. Meals served. 11,743. Wrinkles on face. Too many to count. This is rough, Aunt May. Life-threatening illnesses recovered from. 23. She had 23 life-threatening illnesses. Good Lord. First appearance, Amazing Fantasy number 15. And on the bottom of all these cards, they have like, did you know? Despite all the years, Aunt May has known Peter Parker, she isn't aware that he's Spider-Man and is in fact terrified of the web-slinging superhero. Yeah, I loved these cards when I was a kid. I used to collect the heck out of them. And for 50 bucks, I said, you know what, I'm going to take a walk down memory lane. And yeah, I'm going to grab these cards again. Glad I got them. They're super fun. I will maybe reference some of these cards in a future episode of Comic Book Jeopardy. Like, you know, how many fights has Gray Hulk fought? Because there's a Gray Hulk and a Green Hulk card. You know, how many wins and losses does Punisher have? Stuff like that. There's all kinds of little like statistics on the back that we could reference in an episode of Comic Book Jeopardy. So if you don't have this set of cards and you're a fan of Comic Book Jeopardy, maybe go purchase them and do a little research, because I might reference these cards at some point in a future episode. All right, guys. Well, that's going to do it. Those are some of my most recent pickups in my comic book collecting game. But oh, what's this? Saga of Swamp Thing number 20, the first Alan Moore issue of Saga of Swamp Thing. This is going to be a future giveaway item. If you're a fan of Swamp Thing, make sure you click that subscribe button, because somebody is going to get this book. And how about I throw in a copy of Saga of Swamp Thing number 1, which of course wasn't written by Alan Moore, but the first 19 issues lead into the Alan Moore run. I recommend getting those as well. I love Swamp Thing. I love this run of Swamp Thing, and I want to share it with somebody, one of you guys. So yeah, this will be a giveaway at some point. We'll see how I'm going to do it. There'll be more information to come. But in the meantime, yeah, make sure you're subscribed to the channel. Click that like button as well. That helps us out. We really appreciate it. And I'll close this one out by saying, as I always do, keep collecting comic books, keep watching our videos, and until the next one, bye now.